Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? So today, as I promised yesterday, I'm gonna do a theory, a breakdown of the things I played in A Trip to the Moon. So I hope you enjoyed that yesterday. I have the recording with me here, so I don't know if I can get through every single thing. You know, of course, there are things like, of course, there are notes. And then there are other things like the bowing, things in the style and the articulations. And then we can get into the not interpretation, but like more the musicality and the phrasing and things. But let's just start with the notes and see where things go. So it wasn't E minor. So in general, you can think of this piece as you can use many E minor type things. So the easiest thing to start out with is actually the E minor. It's the E minor pentatonic scale. Okay, I know we talked about the major pentatonic scale, which on a G, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So if you have a G major scale, you don't play the 4th and the 7th note. Skip this note. Skip this note. And then, right? And then what you do is G major pentatonic scale is the exact same thing as the E minor pentatonic. So, add the E minor. So if you're playing E minor pentatonic scale, of course you should think more in E minor rather than think in G and then kind of transpose it, like think about it down. So if you're playing the E minor pentatonic scale, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So if you're thinking in E minor, let's say, E minor, skip the second note, skip the F sharp, and then 3, 4, 5, skip the 6, and then 7, the minor 7, and then 8. So you're basically playing like a natural minor scale without the 2, and the 6. Yeah, 2 and the 6 you're not playing. Right? 1, skip the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, skip the 6. So, if you're comfortable with this, you can not only play it in one octave, but you can mix it around, do it in inversions, many things. So if I go from the lowest note of my cello, the D, which is 7th of the E minor pentatonic, let's just go until there. You can do many combinations of this, right? You can do, let's say you do 4 notes at a time, going up, 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 up a little bit at a time. So, what is it? And you can do backwards. Most of the things I do in this is a very simple chord-wise. I don't really go off too much. Everything is basically in E, progressions that go into E. Okay, so let's get into it with the recording. Oh yeah, so I was talking about the story, right? So you have pam, maybe it's like some kind of a statement. So that's definitely the it's the pentatonic, but I do add a little bit of a B flat. Has a more like a spiritual, like, I don't know, bluesy kind of like statement. So I did that, and then after that I wanted to continue that with a similar idea, but I didn't want to do the exact same thing, so I started one higher on the G. Right? So instead of doing E, and I go one higher to give it a little bit more like, wait, but then something, another statement. Like you have one statement and you're like, and then the next statement. I don't know what in between, but basically it ends in E, right? Kind of like establishing that E minor as well. The next one. The third one. Da, right, so I went to E. And then the G. And then the third time. A lot of times in many things in music or in like a speech, there's like one line and then another thing related to it, and then the third one is, I don't know, it's always, for me, it's like the punchline, like the big, and then we shall, you know, like a speech. Then, and I did go up a little bit, but still, in general, it's the pentatonic, E minor pentatonic. What is it? Oh, and then I went like in the pentatonic, kind of like ghosting. It's called ghosting when you kind of like don't exactly play, you're not playing, but the second note is like pa, pa, pa. You're not really playing it. So you like sort of hear it, but not really. Is that how it ends? Yeah. Yeah, and then it kind of ends. Right, so it's a 4-part phrase. You have the E, and then a G, and then a B, and then it relaxes down. So this note, this part I did add, right? It's the 6th of a natural minor scale on E. And then a D sharp. So those two notes are a little different. I thought of this as a like an A minor 7. Da, da, da. It's a B dominant 7 with a, what is this? Sharp 13? No, sharp 11. So a D sharp and a D natural. Usually it clashes, but when you do it in different octaves, it actually sounds pretty cool. So you know how you know, when you do it together, I mean, it depends on who you talk to, but that's more clash. D sharp rather than because it resolves. So I can get into it next time, but and then the leading tone. So you know how I said like the minor could be a natural or melodic or harmonic. You can add the leading tone so it sounds kind of like it leads to the E. So instead of doing, it sounds good, it sounds okay for me, but I felt like I needed a little more direction because that has to go there. If it's a D, it's like it could go down, it can go up. It doesn't have this like feeling that you have to go back to E. So that's the first part. And I wonder what I'm thinking back in my mind right here. Next part. Ah, so I added like a totally different section. So that was, the beginning part was more like a grounded, like whoa kind of sound. And then I wanted, I think, okay, I need some change. So maybe that was one character. It's like, oh. I say one character in a book. It could be it could be like a bear character or like a low character, like a big, like, yes, this is what I'm doing. This is the statement. And then another character or another feeling comes up, and then and I added that gliss to kind of like change it different. I added the second note of a minor, which you usually don't, right? In a minor pentatonic, you don't. It has this like, I don't know, it's a little off from the E minor, but I mean it's still, it's a long term dissonance. So it has this like unsure kind of feeling, like, well, what's happening? You know, so that happens. Okay, so the first time was this, right? And the second time? Oh, and then I added a new note. And then it made it a little more rhythmic. So the first time, I think I did a B in E minor, that's the 5th. And then the second time I added a little bit more that note. B flat. In E minor, the B flat is the diminished 5th, or the tritone. Many times tritone is something that you don't really want to use because it clashes a lot. But here's another scale you can do. This, it's as common as the pentatonic. It's the blues scale. So, here it is. It's basically the pentatonic scale with some added notes, okay? E, G, A. Actually, it was only one added note. In between the A and the B, that's a regular pentatonic. A sharp or B flat. So you hear this a lot. And it actually works in both the minor blues and the major blues. You know, like the... and then the... That's the blues scale. So minor pentatonic plus that extra tritone in between. So that's what I added here. I think to add more bluesiness, maybe from here I thought, I was like, oh, it's kind of cool, the different sound. Okay, next. So I did it 3 times. The first time I did nice. Second time a little bit more intense. Added the blues. The third time I think I went up to kind of change the direction of the notes. But still in the scale. Actually, it's the 4th. And then went back down. Oh, went back up. It's a similar thing. Alright, so this part, so you know the beginning part, it has a 4 part to it, and then the next part, the second time, third time, and it goes back up again. Still kind of maybe thinking about what's happening. It's like it's still up in the air. It's not really like, you know, E minor, but it's like on the second note. And on the third time it kind of concludes, but it goes back again. I added some. Those notes are, of course, D sharp, natural. There are these things. I forgot exactly what they're called, like enclosures or like things that kind of go around the note that you want to get to. Okay, if you have an E, I can play it a half step lower and get into the E, kind of like this, like tension and release. So I can go. Still sounds fine in any key, in any style. You can, if you want to play an E, you can, and then, right? You hear that in classical music. It's like da 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 da. You're like not really doing anything. You're just going around the note. It's like an embellishment. In terms of Baroque music, people do that a lot, right? Like. I'm making it jazzy a little bit, but it basically. But you can go from under 2 half steps. You can go from above 2 half steps. You can go from below, but not get to the E, but go jump up and get to the E. Of course, there's a little bit more to it in terms of what chord you're playing, but in general, you don't have to stick with just the pentatonic scale or the blues scale. Theoretically, you can actually play any note of the 12 notes in music. Like I can play, right? I can play notes in between. Okay, let's keep going. Oh yeah, this is where I add, so I guess I went even more up. So I added some harmonics. Since I have an E string, I have this thing called harmonics. Well, all strings have harmonics. Actually, I think all instruments have harmonics because it's part of the harmonic series. That's part of nature. If I cut the string in half, a note, actually I don't press on it, I could lightly touch. The note automatically cuts in half and it gives an octave higher sound. If I cut it in quarters, it goes even an octave higher. That means in this quarter, if I divide this into half and then in quarters, I can play that high note, which is the same exact note as cutting it in this quarter. And then I think this is a third. Right, so if I hold this and this, there's this string here, the middle string here, and the bottom string there. So the harmonic series goes on basically forever, although it's hard to, control it really high up. So I use those 5, 8, 5, 1, whatever you want to call it. It will be the same as here. And I add that. Kind of like a bird sound. Again. Keep going. So next part, I start going into different kind of chords. Not just in E, right? So not just like, is nice and cool, but I want, if you want a little more movement, you want to add the 5-1, the dominant, what people call it, And then from there, you can actually, this part, I added the 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, 1. So it would be A minor 7, 5, which is B7. So the A, B, E. So that's a little bit more movement, right? Kind of like, oh, it's like a vamp style. Keep going. Yeah, so, and then another, instead of 4, 5, and then chromatically, next. Okay, so that part, it's more of like a question and answer. You know how, well, it's very common in music. You have a question, something that kind of starts the musical idea, and then something that answers that question idea. So it's like, that's like a question. It's like, hey, what's up? Not much. Hey, what? And then again, so then, blah, blah, blah. I can't say it, but some kind of a question or something that has two different ideas, right? So I wanted to add something high and something low that kind of, what is it called? Juxtapose. And then there's a part where I go up and up and up in chromatically. So that happens. I'm still having the B, which is the 5 of the E. Usually when I do that for myself, I know that I'm kind of like getting into it and getting a little bit, I'm going to get a little bit more, I don't know, into it. Like a little more powerful, a little bit more like, emotion, motion into it. And then so that was kind of like the peak of this section, right? I went up to the and it's mostly the chromaticism, like not just, but I'm adding a lot of the da 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 embellishment, and then the same thing I did before. I do a lot of similar things, right? Instead of just playing, instead of just going to the E, I would go D, half step, whole step below, but in chromatically, and then jump up to the E. And I kind of kept that intensity up until I went down to this. And I think I remember doing this, and I was like, okay, is this the end? No, this is not the end. I'm going to keep going. So I had an idea, right? It's in like. So that was the start of this, something I call a vamp. So it's like, okay, let's hear this. And I added the G, I did, and then G, to have more voices to kind of get like, oh, it's not the end, but it's kind of growing bit by bit. I actually probably wanted to do like just the E first, right? And then like G. If I were playing piano, I would add another note. You know, like I can add for kind of get more and more, but you know, you can't really play all those notes on a cello. So I kind of wanted to add something. Okay, next. So it's basically a vamp, and vamp means there's this constant bass line or constant feel, mostly in one key. So that's the ongoing consistent part, the constant. And then from there, I want to fill it up in different ways and improvise using some ideas. But at the same time, I don't want to just keep it the same, right? I don't want to just go. Right? That's not really interesting. That could be interesting if I were playing the bass part and then someone else was soloing on top of it. But that was, I mean, usually if you're like a sax player or a guitarist or someone who's playing above, there is a bass player and a drummer playing that, but I have to do both of them because I'm playing by myself. So I'll play, and then I'll add, and then maybe a little higher, and then when I go higher, maybe I think I did like a little bit of, okay, keep going. I changed that chord from the E, right, the E, because I felt like that was a little too long to stay in one vamp for, and then maybe I ran out of ideas to play with just that one E. And then I added I went to C. So E minor and C major, it might think like it's a little different. I mean, it is the sixth note of an E minor. Right? E, F sharp, G, A, B, C natural. It's not the relative major or minor, but C major has a lot of notes in common with E major. E minor, sorry. So let's say I'm playing an E natural minor, right? E natural minor just has F sharp and everything else is a white key. I could play a C. I could play a C Lydian scale. Okay, it might get. I could do another video on this too. On modes, there are 7 different modes. I won't get too much into it, but in general, let's say you have a C major scale. That's C Ionian scale, the major scale that we know it. If you play from a D to a D using the key signature of C, okay, it's a little complicated. You might get confused, but I could play a D. Instead of playing a D minor or D major, I'm imagining I'm in C major and I'm playing a D to D scale. That's a D Dorian scale. And if I go E, using the C major scale from E, that's an E Phrygian scale. I know these names are kind of funny, right? From the F, a 4th note, and then I play a C major scale starting on F and ending on F. So no sharps or flats. That scale is the Lydian scale, F Lydian scale. So if you are, let's play a C Lydian scale, okay? So C major scale sounds like this. If I sharp the fourth note, the C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, that is a C Lydian scale. And C, okay, get this, C is the fourth note of a G, right? In a G major scale, C is the fourth note. So basically, I'm playing a C scale based on the G major scale. And the G major scale has one sharp. So, and I'm saying G major because it's the same key signature as E minor. So it's a little complicated. So, but just know that E minor can work with C major. I made, what is that? The famous Elgar, right? C major. Right? It works. Elgar did it. He knew it a long time ago. Okay, so C. So I went from the E vamp to C. Right, so a lot of times you can already tell it's a 3 cycle. It's a 3 phrase thing. So I will do something, not so much, maybe a little, and this time I think I did really high, coming back in the span of 2 measure. Something like that. And then the next part I remember doing back to E. Oh yeah, so the four phrase of the E, okay? I wanted to just go, I think it's mostly the melodic, sorry, what is it? The 5 note, the pentatonic, E pentatonic, going up the hill. So, okay, I'll start here. Go up the hill, even higher, and the highest. So, let's say I go there. And then I could even play it. But kind of going up and up and up. So, like these kind of things, like if I had to write it down or someone had to, people call transcribe it, which means put it on a piece of paper and notate it, I wonder how this would be notated. I would imagine that's okay. I don't even know how many notes I played in between. So it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then a double to like 24, what do you even say it? A 24 tuplet? I don't know. Note. It'll just be like a lot of notes. All right, keep going. Went back to C. So, you probably already could tell when I did. I think I actually. Oh yeah, hey, I did this subconsciously. So in the beginning I did right. I think I came back to that idea so that it feels like there's connection between throughout the whole piece. And also this part, it has this CODA feel. CODA meaning like the you can tell that it's starting to wind down a little bit. Because before that, it was like the very groovy, and then I think I went to like triplets, like, right? You can kind of feel like, oh, okay, maybe it's ending, maybe it's the end of the piece. If you're wondering about that chord progression, the second chord is a 5, right, of E. So dominant 5, 5, 7, which is very simple, right? There are many ways to get to 5. That's the thing about jazz that's really so interesting, that many people, well, there's many ways to get to 1, basically. You can get to 1 through many, many places. You know, people call it 1 as like home, okay? Like you hear this, then you feel like, okay, I'm back. But there are so many ways to get to 1, right? As in real life, so many ways of transport to get to a place in general. So the most common way is 5-1. This one, I'm actually doing so in E minor, I'm doing a C7, which is actually an augmented 6 chord. If you're a classical musician and if you know your theory, the flat 6 and then what is it? A dominant 7 based on it. So C7, B7, E, right? So C. I think it's called like a German 6 or something. All right, so, and then I did it 3 times, right? And then the last one, and then the end I just did. Out of time. And then I added with that high E, which is the 4th if you cut the string in 4ths. If I press down on this, it'll sound like an A, but if I just lightly touch it, it gets to the high note. All right, that was the breakdown. In the middle, I thought that it was kind of long, so I didn't go through more of the notes. But I feel like you know, like I got through most of it. If you have any more questions about it, let me know. Oh, and I hope you enjoyed the sound that I was getting out of this, because I added a lot of reverb and delay to make it sound like I'm in the mood, space. Right? So I hope you enjoyed it. Anyways, and that's it for today. Thank you for staying, and hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye.